So now we're going to make tortellini and brodo, which is literally tortellini and broth. This is a traditional Italian soup. It's very, very easy to make, usually served on holidays. These are the tortellini. They are basically twisted raviolis. These are cheese-filled. They also come available in meat-filled. I prefer the cheese ones. Most large supermarkets are going to have these frozen. If not, if there's an Italian store near you, you'll probably find them there. If you can't get them anywhere else, miniature raviolis are okay. The very small raviolis. So these are still frozen. The instructions are to cook them from frozen, or I could kick them. Got a pot here of very liberally salted water on high heat, getting ready to cook the the tortellini. You don't want to cook the tortellini in the broth because it makes the broth milky and it's not good. So I cook it separately. I use this collagen, fat-free, and low-sodium broth. I've been using this for years. If you can't get this, any broth will do. But I highly recommend using a reduced sodium broth because most chicken broths that you get in the supermarket are extremely salty. Depends on your salt tolerance. I like this so much that I have it shipped to me by Amazon because it isn't available on the West Coast. And it's usually an add-on item. It's not expensive. So I've got 2 quarts in there, to which I have added 1 Knorr chicken bouillon. There we go. And 1 vegetable bouillon, 1 cube of each. And this is on the fire, waiting to come up to heat. Stir this a little bit, the cubes are dissolving. And that's step 1 of 2. So let's give these a little time to get boiling, and then we will get to cooking the tortellini. Okay, so now our broth is all heated through. The cubes have dissolved. This water is about to come to a full boil. I turned the heat down to low on this, very low. We don't want it to evaporate off too much, so I'm going to put a lid on it for right now. The one thing I did forget to mention is you are going to need some nice fresh Italian parsley, chopped up fairly fine. Doesn't have to be tiny, tiny pieces, but fairly fine. So this water is just about coming to a boil. A little trick I want to show you. Olive oil. Now this will not come to a rolling boil after I do this, but it's almost there. You want to put just literally a drop. That's all. Give that a little stir. Now that's going to keep the tortellini from sticking together. But now the water will not come to a rolling boil. So we wait until we know it's just there before we put the oil in. Okay, so we're going to gently put in the tortellini. So, 1 holdout, 2 holdouts. Okay. Keep this on a high flame until the tortellini, or rather until the water begins to come to a near boil again. Remember, those are frozen tortellini, so it's going to take 2-3 minutes for it to come back up to the cooking temperature. Once you do that, the package directions for these say 4 to 7 minutes. We want to undercook them a little bit so that they can finish in the broth. So I've got a timer ready set at 5 minutes. And so we just have to wait a little bit for that to come back to temperature. Okay, so steam is starting to rise off of this water. You can't see it, which means it's up to temperature again. I've stirred these once or twice. I'm going to be very gentle with them so they don't start to come apart. So now keeping it on medium-high flame, I'm going to start my timer, which I have set for 5 minutes. And this is already starting to smell so good that this is definitely my dinner tonight. This is a soup that I associate with holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, Easter. This was almost always at those meals. Christmas Eve, traditionally Italians eat only seafood. It's a Catholic thing, but I still do it too. So we would have the tortellini, the cheese tortellini. Most of the rest of the other meals would be the meat tortellini. I love this. And it's just so crazy easy to make. So we're letting those go for another 4.5 minutes. I've got this just on a very low flame to keep it hot. And we'll come back and finish the tortellini. Okay, our 5 minutes is almost up. I've turned this back up to a medium flame. Remove that lid. And the tortellini are looking good. I like the multicolored ones. They're quite festive, especially for Christmas. Since I am making Christmas soup here right now. And there's our timer. Okay, so we're coming off here. I'm going to drain these and bring them right back. When you do put these in the colander, be gentle with them. We don't want them to start unwrapping. Okay, so right back into the broth. Get this out of the way. We're going to let this come a little hotter on medium heat. Going to stir in our parsley. Do yourself a favor, make sure you get fresh Italian parsley. Don't let it sit in the refrigerator or on the counter for a couple of days. Get nice and fresh, same day of cooking. We'll put that in there. It's one of the few things that the parsley really matters in. So let's cook that together. Give it a nice stir. Put the lid back on and reduce this to a medium heat. I'm going to let it cook for about another 2 minutes. Okay, this has been going for another 2 minutes. Giving it a good stir here. I'm going to taste it for seasoning. Absolutely delicious. Strangely enough, I'm going to actually add a little bit of salt. Just a little bit. There we go. And again, I use this low salt instead of regular sodium. Healthy for you. Give that a good stir. I'm turning the fire off now. I'm going to take this off the heat and let it sit for a minute or two. This step is actually more important with the meat tortellini because they contain pork. You have to make sure that they are heated through correctly. You don't want to overcook the tortellini so that the pasta portion gets overcooked and mushy. So you let this sit. If you make this in advance and you reheat it and it reheats beautifully, just heat it. Don't bring it to a boil. Just get the broth hot and then turn it off and let the tortellini heat through. Otherwise, you can turn it into mush. So we're going to let this go for just a couple of minutes off the heat, and then I will plate it up. This has been sitting for a couple of minutes. Again, just like the escarole soup, don't put garlic in it, please. You'll ruin it completely. There you go. Some of that nice broth in there and the parsley. And that's it. Tortellini and Brodo. I'm not going to put any cheese on this now because this is actually going back in the pot. I'll have it later for dinner. When you serve it, you do want to have a little either grated Romano or Parmesan, depending on your taste. The Romano has a little bit more bite to it. Please don't buy this stuff in a cardboard tube. Get some at least store graded stuff. And then you want to sprinkle a little bit of that on just before serving. I don't put pepper in this. There's pepper in the bouillon cubes. When I serve this to guests, I advise them to taste it first for salt, and if they want to put salt and pepper on it or cheese, it's entirely up to them. I like it without the pepper and with some grated cheese on it. But that's all there is to it. Tortellini and Brodo. Again, super easy and it's super yummy. And this is going to be my dinner later. It's going back in the pot, but I'll heat it up. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please remember, if you would click that thumbs up button, see that, thumbs up, on the right bottom, it helps me a lot. And if you would comment on the video and share it with your friends, that's great. And if you like these cooking videos or any of my other silliness, please hit that red subscribe button, and you'll know when new ones come out, and you will help me grow this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Buonasera.